Life after cancer is a process of self-discovery. It involves getting to know the new you that is here after surviving cancer. It's a process of integrating everything that you learned through your cancer journey. And it's a process of figuring out where you go from here now that you've gotten through perhaps the hardest thing you've been through in your entire life. My name is Joseph Rea, and I am a stage 4 colon cancer survivor. I went through 2 major surgeries and 6 months of chemotherapy. I am currently in remission. Thankfully, happy to say that all of my scans have been coming out clean. And I've been reflecting a lot on what this journey has been, what it's been like, and what it's meant for me in terms of my overall life perspective. First off, I want to let you know, for those of you who have been here with me for several years now, I wanted to give you a quick update about how I've been doing health-wise, and also let you know why I've kind of been off the radar for a bit. And thirdly, I'd like to discuss more about what life is like after cancer, what the survivor experience is really like, and things that maybe don't get discussed as often as they should. So first off, how have I been doing? I'm grateful to say that I am still in remission. All of my scans have been coming out clean, and I'm just super grateful for this opportunity to, have a second shot at life, to have overcome something that at times I didn't know how I would get through. And, to go through something that really brought me to my knees. For those of you who are new to my channel, you can scroll back on the videos posted on my channel, and I kind of documented what the experience was like going through both integrative and conventional cancer treatment. Had kind of a unique experience seeing both of those worlds. But my goal has always been to show you what the real experience is like, like behind all the social media posts or like all the facades that people put up of what they want society to see in them. We live in a culture where a lot of that is just really curated content, right? And I kind of just wanted to be real with you and just show up every day and let you know how things, what it was like to go through cancer treatment, surgery, chemotherapy, all of that. And I hope I've done a decent job in kind of conveying to you along the journey what that was like. What I haven't been as good about is sharing with you what the survivor journey is like. What is it like once you're back into normal civilian life and, trying to adapt to normal society after going through something that really just rattles your cage and makes you confront your own mortality. And it does kind of distort or it shapes a lot of new perspectives that, you see things differently than perhaps you did before cancer. So continuing on the update for me, so I, back a few months ago, I actually had my port taken out, which I was super thrilled about. It was something that I was looking forward to, that I was wanting, just because, I was no longer going through treatment, but I had this port embedded in my chest. And, it just kind of, for me, it was like a very symbolic step to have the port removed, because it just felt like I was really leaving the cancer part of my life behind me. It signified me stepping forward into my post-cancer life. And, the procedure was very quick and easy. I went into the clinic and the surgeon basically numbed the area and went to work, with a scalpel. And, I'll spare you the details, but anyways, got the port out and I was good to go. And, it was a big moment for me, big occasion for me. I actually recorded some videos, including like my video when I was going in for the port removal, and then my thoughts afterwards. I've been so busy I didn't get a chance to post it, so I'm gonna in the coming weeks I'm gonna get around to like posting some of these videos that I've recorded, but I just haven't had time to edit, put together, and post for you. But so I had that done, which was a big, like, a relief for me. And yeah, all of my scans, as I said, have been coming out clean, and I'm just grateful to be able to move on and kind of focus on the rest of my life, right? At the same time, I've been realizing that as much as I want to just return back to my normal life after cancer, or kind of get back to what my life was before, it doesn't quite work that way, because going through something of this magnitude, I feel it changes you. It changes what's important. It makes you realize what is not important. It affects your values. It can affect your value system of like what kinds of things you really place a priority on in your life, and what you are no longer interested in. And I feel that it kind of changes the perspective through which you experience everyday life. For me, being more health conscious is obviously something that's always on my mind, but it's difficult to be 100% perfect in that regard. I mean, we live in a society where people, the way we socialize nowadays is going out to eat, going out to restaurants, going out for a drink here and there, birthday parties, like there's cake and desserts. And so I feel like in our society it's a constant struggle to like eat healthy, and there's a lot of influences that pull us away from sticking to a very nutritious meal plan, I'll say. I don't like the word diet so much. But, a way of eating it that is nutritious and sustaining to our overall health. So, that is something that I try to focus on and do as good a job as I can while at the same time having a life, right? And like going out to see people and see friends. Like I don't want to like isolate myself and not go to any events. But at the same time, I want to have a healthy balance in that regard. So that's something that's key for me. Another aspect that I've been focusing on is getting more rest, because I think I've been sleep deprived for a lot of my life. I have a diagnosed sleeping condition called obstructive sleep apnea. So I sleep with a CPAP machine now, and that's been super helpful. That's been a game changer. But it's always been for me kind of like a struggle or an uphill battle to get proper rest. And it's something I'm still working on. I think it's gotten better, but there's always room for improvement, and it's not perfect. So it's something that I continually work towards, trying to get as much rest as I possibly can. But yeah, I'm sorry that I haven't been here as much as I'd like to be. in full transparency, I feel bad that I have not shown up here in what I believe is over a year. And it's amazing to me that a year has flown by, but I started a new job last year as a software engineer, and it's been like the most intense job I've ever had. In some ways it's been good to have like something else to focus on, like another a challenge that kind of you don't obsess about, you know, all the things that have gone wrong or whatever, and like gives you an outlet, or gives me an outlet to kind of focus my energy. So I've liked that aspect of it, but it's been hard to carve out time and to like get into the mind space of what I want to share with you. And it's been there in the back of my mind, but I don't know, maybe I'm a perfectionist and like I want it to be, super thought out and like organized and have like a very clear bulleted list of everything I want to tell you. And it's not there yet. It's a jumbled mess in my head, but it's there and I still want to share it with you. And I'm, trying to do that the best way that I can. So I guess what would make sense, let me give you just get back to, so I've talked about my health status right now. I've talked about where I've been in the past year, which, by the way, I also did get to finally take a vacation. I went to Switzerland and Italy in July, and it was absolutely fantastic. I had a blast. I'll have to see if I can like put together some pictures and videos and share it with you guys here on this channel. But it was tremendous. I had a lovely time. So, I feel like I've been doing my best to get back to life. But yeah, I really want to get back to this thing about what is life like after cancer? What is the survivor experience really like? Because, I found that, yes, there are some like cancer support groups. Like if you're going through treatment, there are support groups. And I think that, there are also some groups for like survivors, but I haven't found the exact kind of support that in my head I think should be provided to cancer survivors. And that is something that involves, helping us as survivors to integrate what the whole experience meant for us, right? When you go through something very deep and profound or something very traumatic, I think part of the process that we go through afterwards, once we've gotten through it, is a process of integrating what that experience has meant for us, how we relate to that experience, how we give meaning to the experience of going through cancer, going through the diagnosis, the treatment, all the procedures, all the, infusions, the radiation treatments, whatever you had to go through as a cancer patient. How do you make sense of all that? I think a lot of times we just kind of want to forget it and move on with our lives. And that's totally valid. And I also think that if we are willing, we can learn a lot from the cancer experience. Going through cancer, I think, is a unique opportunity to access a new channel of wisdom that we normally don't have access to in our everyday lives. And I say that because, when you're going through cancer, everything stops. Everything comes to a grinding halt. Your work, your projects, your household chores, vacation plans, house renovation projects, anything that you have going on, anything and everything, like the moment you're diagnosed, everything comes to a halt. And, there's something about that I think creates some space. Uh, the shock and the trauma definitely, I think, for me, it rattled me to my core, and it made me see a side of myself that I had not seen before. I had never in my adult life faced a situation uh, where my life was at risk. The only other time I feel like my life was at risk was when I was a 4-month-old infant. I was in the back of a car, not in a car seat, and we were pulled over on the side of the road at night. And my dad had pulled over we were in the middle of nowhere, and he needed to use a restroom, so he pulled over on the side of the road. And so it's the middle of the night, like out in the country. So he's taking care of his business, and a drunk driver is pummeling down the road and slams into us. My mom was in the front seat, and I apparently, as a 4-month-old baby, went flying and got lodged under I don't know if it was the driver's seat or the passenger seat, but one of those. Anyways, I broke I think it was my pelvis or both my legs. I was in a cast from the waist down. So I'm not sure exactly what the injuries I sustained were, but it seemed like it was pretty bad. And so that's the only other time in my life I think that I was this close to, facing my, but I mean, of course, at 4 months old, I didn't have the the capability to process what that meant for me. So I, it was interesting, looking back to see how I reacted, to see how I handled the situation, to see myself go through the stages of shock and denial and despair and anger and acceptance. And, I forget all the stages of grief. I think there's bargaining, where you're like, please God, if you just give me another chance, and then there's, the anger, where you're furious about this happening to me, and I can't believe this, it's so unfair. And then to the despair of feeling well, I'm done for, it's game over. What's the point in even trying? And, finally getting to acceptance, where it's all right, this is what I'm up against. This is what we're dealing with. And what do I have to do? What are the steps that I need to get through it so that I can get my health back? And, I think we all go through hard things in life, but going through, a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, really, I feel it kind of just removes everything else from your life, and you have to face the reality, and face your own potential mortality. I remember going through some moments when I first found out, and I think I was in denial for a while. I think I didn't, it took a while for it to hit me. I remember when the surgeon called me with the results of the biopsy from my liver because, they wanted to know if it had spread, the cancer had spread to my liver or not. So they did a biopsy. And I remember the call when they called me, and he told me that, the sample from my liver was positive for cancer. And so that meant that it had metastasized and spread from my colon to my liver. And so that meant I was stage 4 colon cancer. And it was right around Christmas 2020. And when he told me, I was just like, I took the call just like as if somebody was telling me like what the weather was going to be tomorrow, or what the, traffic was like. I was just like, oh, okay, sounds good. Like, thanks for the update. All right, thanks for letting me know. Have a good day. And it didn't really like sink in for a while. I was just kind of like, I think I was numb. I think that's what it was. I couldn't feel anything in that moment. It was just information at that point. But I think it took me probably a few weeks of it like really sinking in before I really felt like the gravity of it and what it really meant, like for me to really wrap my head around it. I think it was a few weeks later, and I had a moment where I just broke down in tears in my living room here, by myself, and I all the emotions just came out. It was like a flood of grief, and I have not cried like that maybe like except once or twice in my life. And it brought me to my knees. I mean, I'm just remembering that moment. Man, it's a lot. So, what is my point? My point is that when we go through something like this, it not only strips away everything in our life that is not relevant or not of utmost importance. It strips away everything for a time being, for a period of time, and but it also pushes you to really look deep within yourself about to like it exposes a new side of yourself that maybe you haven't seen before. And while the cancer journey was like really hard at times, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody, at the same time, I'm grateful for like the self-awareness that I was able to cultivate through that experience, and just seeing that side of myself. I feel like it's a level of self-intimacy of like, getting down into the deepest levels of who is Joseph and what happens in the most extreme of circumstances. I guess it's maybe, to me, it seems like a crazy extreme experiment, right? Because it's a very unique situation that that allows you to see how who is the Joseph when life is on the line, or when things are uncertain, or when there's really, really bad news to process and you have to go through some really hard stuff. And I don't know if I'm making any sense with this. I guess my point is that I can be grateful to know that side of myself. I am grateful to know that side of myself, and to have gotten through that instills in me a deep sense of gratitude a sense of like calmness because I went through something so difficult. I like everything else seems not quite as difficult or as scary because I mean, what's scarier than stage 4 cancer? Not a lot of things, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm sure we could come up with a list. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, if you can get through that, if you can get through your cancer journey and come out on the other side, it doesn't mean you're invincible. You know, we're all here for a finite amount of time, and we're subject to forces that are out of our control. But at the same time, I feel it's also an opportunity for personal growth. I don't think you go through an experience this hard without growing. You know, and I think the biggest growth happens during the darkest hours. It's those uncomfortable moments that when you just want to run or escape or like switch to a different reality. It's in those moments that you learn the lessons of acceptance and inner peace and the present moment, the here and now. It's so easy to escape that in normal everyday life. But when your back is against the wall and you're facing a life-altering diagnosis, sometimes the only thing you have is the here and now, because you can't comprehend anything else in that moment. I remember coming home after a chemo infusion and going to lie down in my bed. Later in that evening, my mom would come over and help me on the days that I had treatment, the days that I had my chemo infusion. But I would mostly go to my room and just shut the door and be in bed for a lot of the day. And I remember being really nauseous and being unable to do really anything. I couldn't sleep, but I also could get up and do things. Couldn't really walk around much because it made me feel more nauseous. And so I just laid in bed and I was still nauseous. Excuse me. And I would just kind of like shake, like, rock back and forth because I couldn't think of anything else to do to make the nausea go away. I had taken, my medicine, my anti-nausea medicine and everything, and it helped some, but it was still there, and I would just focus on breathing, breathing in and out and like rocking myself kind of like in this back and forth way. I don't know, maybe it was like some self-soothing mechanism or something, but and all I could do was just take it one breath at a time, and I wasn't thinking about yesterday or tomorrow or anything else in my life. I wasn't making plans or like nothing else was happening. It was just like the here and now, and don't throw up, because I didn't feel like throwing up. I didn't want to throw up, and just trying to take one breath at a time. And as hard as that was, it was a powerful experience, to like surrender to it and just be present with what I was going through at the time. It's kind of funny because now that I have my health back, and now that I'm not going through any treatment, and I have a million things going on with work and, my personal life, how hard it is to get back to that present moment that, when things are going haywire or you're about on the verge of puking because of all the chemo meds, like, man, you are right there and you are nowhere else, because that's what it brings you to. So, that's something I'm working on. Is I'd like to be able to keep coming back to the present moment. I don't know if you've read, one of my favorite books of all time is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And if you haven't read it, it's a powerful read. It's something I come back to over and over again. And I'll literally read like 2 pages of it and my mind is like blown away, and I go off and think about it for like a week, So yeah, I that's something I'm working on, because life is so, and I have so many other things I want to talk about. Like, one thing is that, after you get back to your normal life after cancer, there's like, I don't know about for all of you, but for me, there's this push to like achieve and accomplish, because partially in my messed up brain, it's like, and this is going to sound really bad, but sometimes it feels like I lost a year of my life. And so maybe sometimes I feel like I need to catch up with, where I should be by now, or, just getting caught up with everything else in life. And maybe part of it is wanting to forget it and to like just move on with my life. But I can't pretend that it didn't happen. And my health is still something that I feel is maybe fragile, and I need to be very careful with my health and not, take things for granted, or, eat unhealthy things or live an unhealthy lifestyle. I need to be better about that. It's something I'm still working on. So anyways, there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about. This is my way of just kind of saying hello, welcoming all of you back who have been waiting for an update, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to give you one. I think I saw somebody post RIP on one of my videos as a comment, and I was like, oh my gosh, like if I don't post an update, then people maybe will wonder if I'm no longer here. And so you guys were here for me through such a difficult and trying time. And I feel like the journey is still happening, and I want to continue to share it with you, because it's all still unfolding, like going through treatment and going through surgery and chemotherapy and all that stuff is one part of it, but another real part of it is like trying to get back to living a normal life after cancer. And it's like, how do you even do that? So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to say, and I want to do a better job of showing up here and giving you guys all these thoughts that are coming up to me, because I feel like they're real and valid parts of the cancer survivor journey. I don't hear or see a lot of this being talked about, so I thought maybe it makes sense for me to talk about it. So let me know what you guys think. Have you been through cancer, or do you have a loved one who's going through it or has survived it? What are your thoughts about reintegrating into normal everyday life? What challenges have you faced? Was it easy or was it hard? Were you happy to get back to your life, or were you sad or depressed? Or I want to know how it is for all of you as well, and maybe we can have a discussion about it. So anyways, that's where it's at. I've been talking long enough, so just wanted to do a brief video for you guys, let you know that all is well and good, and I'm gonna do my best to come back and give you guys more updates very soon, share more of my thoughts on this whole cancer survivor journey. But I wish all of you the best. Hope you're having a terrific summer, good year, and let's stay in touch. All right, talk to all of you soon. Thanks.